ball hit sharply into right field and base hit. Young's being waved home. The throw by Kadire is not in time. They did it again. Dominic Brown's RBI single caps a 2-run bottom of the ninth inning, and the Phillies win it 5-4.
Well, the Phillies have been doing a lot of this week, and it's been a long time since they had ninth-inning walk-off wins. How about all the way back to June 6th and 7th of 1978? Michael Young, he's been involved in a lot of good stuff going on here this week at the ballpark as the Phillies have had some fun. It is Retro 90s night here at Citizens Bank Park, and a lot of fun going on here at the ballpark. The Arizona Diamondbacks come to town to play the red-hot Phillies, and it's really nice to say that right now. The Phillies are kind of hot. Chris Wheeler along with Gary Matthews. Tom is off tonight, and Sarge. The Diamondbacks come in here. Now, for a while, it kind of looked like they may win the West, but, boy, the Dodgers have had some fun lately.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They have taken off. The Dodgers have. And not only that, though, the Diamondbacks have had some injuries there. When you take a look here at the graphics, you can see exactly what I'm talking about there. There's that record. 65, 61, they're above 500, but that's just not going to get it done there. That road record there, that's a pretty good one there, although you'd like to be at 500, what they've done against the National League East, 12 and 14 there. They have to get hot, and they have some guys there that have been hurt. Not this guy, however. Goldschmidt, this guy had 3 grand slams this year, 6 home runs in the ninth. You got to be strong, too, to hit the ball to right field. He can do it there and do it on any kind of pitch here. This guy's had an MVP type of a year. He is going strong. Without him, the Diamondbacks wouldn't be where they are right now. There's the numbers there that I'm talking about there, Wills, there. 31 home runs. Look at his RBIs there. And to boot, the guy is hitting 300, without a doubt, an MVP candidate.
Well, the Diamondbacks, Sarge, are a team that come in here. They're a very dangerous offensive team, and they have some real good starting pitching, couple tough guys in the bullpen. 2 real good left-handers tonight in Wade Miley, and Cole Hamels has been Cole Hamels lately. This guy is just pitching great baseball game after game. Look back to the game that he pitched on Sunday. This is when the Phillies started these walk-off wins. He didn't get a win in that one, but he pitched 8 great innings. Phillies looking for more of that from him tonight. We'll be back with the lineup's first pitch coming up right after this. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch. A reminder from Budweiser, great times are waiting. Designated driver. By Toyota. Toyota's nationwide clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Xfinity, the official HD triple play provider of your Philadelphia Phillies. Citizens Bank, where good banking is good citizenship. Isn't it time you experience good banking? And by Independence Blue Cross, the most preferred health plan in the region. Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Their only trip here to Philadelphia this year, and they will be here for the weekend. Night game tonight, night game tomorrow, and then a day game on Sunday afternoon. It's been a fun night already here on Retro's 90 night from Total. And when you see these uniforms the Phillies are in tonight, it's going to bring back a lot of memories. There's a look at them right there, and we thank our friends from Total for all they've done. And one of the memories from back in the 90s is a wild thing, Mitch Williams. Sarge, that looked familiar.
Wow. Yeah, still throwing it away. What's new? Oh, boy.
Wasn't his fault.
You see that arm angle?
That was fun.
Hey, he just let it go. It was going to be a wild pitch.
Yeah, a lot of people behind the plate were jumping. And here comes a fanatic. Got the wrong arm, but the right motion.
Oh,
Mitch, of course, is one of the good sports about everything, and he enjoyed that, too. Well, it's time now for tonight's starting lineup, and it's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Arizona with a good offensive team. A.J. Pollock in center field. Adam Eaton will be in right field. Paul Goldschmidt. This guy's having a tremendous season, as you see there. Martin Prado used to kill the Phillies with the Braves. Aaron Hill will be at second. Matt Davidson, a young player at third base. Another young player. Cliff Pennington plays shortstop. Former Phil. Great to see him have a chance to play in the major leagues. Tuffy Ghost Switch on the mound. A very tough left-hander in Wade Miley. And the Phillies will go, Sarge, with Cole Hamilton. Really been good lately.
Yeah, you're right about that there. You take a look at those innings. One of the things, though, you like about him, he will compete there. And even though that record 5-13, start to look at that ERA toward the end of the season. That's how you'll be able to tell if he's pitching good, because it should come down from that mark. Fastball there that he throws. He will throw a cutter. Changeup. Once he mixes that curveball in there, it makes things a lot easier. You see the career there, 4-2 record. But again, stay away from Goldsmith there. He's just having a tremendous year. No sense in really letting him beat you. Let someone else beat you besides Schmidt and maybe Prado. How about that?
Absolutely. And on that Budweiser scouting report, his cutter's been a lot better lately. John McDonald's a shortstop tonight. He's really good out there. Jimmy just getting a night off after a real good game last night. First pitch of the game, and McDonald throws him out, one away. And it's time now for our Nissan keys to tonight's game. Sarge, take it away.
Well, keys to the game. This is very, very simple. You want to control that Goldschmidt. We talked about him before. Both left-handers, too, have been dealing. The record's not going to indicate that, but they both compete. And, again, keep that ball in the ballpark there with Goldschmidt.
This is Adam Eaton, who's a good-looking young player for them. They have quite a few young players up right now and in their lineup. Eaton had a walk-off home run a few weeks ago playing in right field. All the outfielders they have out there have real good arms. He's having a pretty good month of August, as you see. And a ball and a strike on Eaton. Goldschmidt, you saw him waiting on deck. And then Martin Prado, the former Atlanta Brave, batting in the 4-hole.
Yeah, these guys just finished playing the Cincinnati Reds. Reds didn't treat them too well, winning 3 out of 4 games. They were really close to that wild card there. They were hoping to win 3 out of 4.
Cole gets him way out in front. John McDonald, busy guy already at shortstop, waits on that pop-up, 2 outs. Well, a reminder from Budweiser, great times are waiting. Designate a driver. Quickly, 2 up and 2 down on 4 pitches from Cole Hamels. And here comes Goldschmidt, tied for first in the league in home runs with 31, and first overall in RBIs, right at 100.
Yeah, he's just about in the top 10 in all the important offensive categories.
Tied with Pedro Alvarez of Pittsburgh. Dominic Brown is third in the league with his 27. Goldschmidt is a 176 lifetime hitter against the Phils with 3 homers and 6 RBIs, and all 3 home runs have come here in this ballpark.
Yeah, 0 for 4 too against Cole Hamels.
And Hamels falls behind him 2-0.
Well, here's one of those situations. If you want to challenge him and it's inside, got to make sure that ball is cutting in off the plate.
Fouled away. The Diamondbacks are cooperating tonight on the retro night. The D-backs are wearing their black alternate uniform and cap combination from the 1999 and 2000 seasons that feature that purple and teal trim that they used to have.
Yeah, kind of like that.
That look a little bit different to you. Bounces up there. And the count's 3-1. There's Kirk Gibson, their manager. Boy, they have a veteran staff. Alan Trammell right beside him. Matt Williams is down at third, coaching third. Steve Sachs over at first. And Cole throws a 3-1 changeup and gets it over. There's Sachs, longtime Dodger and one of the tougher guys to ever play the game of baseball. Matt Williams at third.
Third baseman for the San Francisco Giants.
3-2 to Goldschmidt. Fly ball center field. Hit pretty well, but room for Mayberry at the warning track. 3 up and 3 down go the Diamondbacks in the first inning. No runs, hits, errors, and nobody left. Phillies will lead it off with Michael Young. Brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most in live sports. A little different look tonight as Ryan Sandberg comes out with new lineups all the time, it seems like. Michael Young will be at third base. Kevin Franson has started first. Chase Utley playing at second base. Dominic Brown, big hit last night to win the game. Carlos Ruiz, he has been smoking, as has Darren Ruff here in the month of August. John Mayberry a start in center field, and you see his numbers very good against the Diamondbacks. John McDonald had a couple plays in the top of the inning, is at shortstop tonight. On the mound, Cole Hamels, Sargent. They will face 6 foot, 218 pound, 26-year-old left-hander Wade Miley.
Yeah, well, again, take a look at those innings. That's all you have to do there. Again, the 9-8 record there doesn't indicate how this guy actually competes. He is one of those guys that's got to make you swing the bat there. Not going to strike out a lot. Check out the scouting report there. That fastball 92. Not going to get a lot of guys out. Change up there, and again 3-1 record. Good ERA though.
Fouled away down the line by Michael Young. Last time out, he threw 60% fastballs, 22% changeups, slider at 12, and curveball at 6. So he will feature 4 pitches.
Only 117 strikeouts in those 156 innings there.
52 walks and misses inside. These guys lead the league in wild pitches with 69 of them. Unbelievable number. A lot of them from Montero and Nieves. Tuffy Goswitch behind the plate just called for a changeup, and he rolls it to short. Pennington over to Goldschmidt, and quickly one away for the Phillies here in the first inning. Some of the other stuff going on here tonight when the players come up, and you see some of the looks for him right there from Jerry Maguire back in 1996. That was Michael Young.
Yeah, well, got him out on that changeup. That's what usually happens. If you're out in front, you're going to roll that ball over, usually right to the shortstop.
Kevin Franson getting his start at first base. The 17th time he started at first, and he laid on a pitch and fouls it off right side out of play. He's been struggling since the All-Star break at just a 119 clip, and There he is from Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, he needs to get that bat tuned up a little bit more.
And they put the captain bars on the helmet for him. That's pretty good. No balls and 2 strikes as Miley's come out throwing strikes just the way Cole Hamels did. Jam fouled away. What do you think of those unis?
I like them, as a matter of fact.
Well, the lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contest tonight is Chris Doherty of Minnetonka, New Jersey. Phillies hit a home run in the game. Chris will win $100. And fouled off again. Still 0-2, throwing him a lot of fastballs.
Yeah, that one there actually 93.
Yeah, his average on his fastball is 91. So with a high there of 93. And oh, look at, almost made a good catch, but not quite. And it grounded towards the hole. Pennington, long throw, got him by plenty. Nice play by the shortstop.
Boy, anytime you see that shortstop go in the hole and they release that ball and it is on the line, you know that he has a good arm.
And they'll bring up Chase Utley. 302 lifetime against the D-backs, and you see this year what he did against them in that series out there in Arizona. Phillies played 4 games out there earlier this year, back in May.
Wow.
That's a good one for him, Braveheart.
Really is, though.
Little Mel Gibson roll there. Be careful not to try and umpire too quick tonight, because Tim McClellan, he's good back behind home plate, but he's slow. You really don't see him bring that arm up too quick. There he is, the veteran. Clint Fagan, young umpire, and the Marty Foster, Marvin Hudson, the crew here for this weekend. Here's another ground ball. Goldschmidt, he'll look for Miley. He leads him, well, pretty well. Well enough to get the job done. 3-1 on the hookup, and a quick first inning for the Phillies. They are up and down in order. We go to the second, no score. The John Kruk action figurine free to fans 14 and under, and the retro print free to fans 15 and under. And tomorrow will be the Diamondbacks here again at 7:05. Fans got some really nice stuff coming into the ballpark tonight. And then on Sunday at 1:35, you see it right there, the ShopRite back to school backpack free to fans 14 and under. You can order now at Phillies.com. That John Kruk action figurine for fans 14 and under. Pretty cool giveaway for the kids tonight. Here is Martin Prado, who the Phillies saw a lot of, Sarge, in an Atlanta uniform. There it is. There's Johnny.
Yeah, and he is in position.
It's good first baseman.
Yeah.
And Hamels misses inside. His cutter's been a lot better lately. He really struggled with that pitch early in the season, even midway through, as you see his numbers against Cole. But much better lately.
Yeah, so did Prado early during the season. Had a difficult time actually getting going. The biggest problem he had was being traded there over to the Diamondbacks. He was wondering what he did wrong to get traded over.
Well, they got him in that deal, and they also got the guy who's going to pitch tomorrow night. And Randall Delgado. But Justin Upton is now with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
You know, you had to give up something to get Justin Upton. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Prado hammers one to center field. John Mayberry right there. And he makes the second play of the ball game, 1 away.
Good pitch, getting that off the end of the bat.
And that'll bring up Aaron Hill, a guy that played with the Toronto Blue Jays for a number of years. Phillies used to see this guy a lot in spring training. In fact, at one time he and John McDonald played together with the Blue Jays and were traded over to the D-backs.
Yeah, he actually was hitting fourth most of the year, right behind Goldschmidt. And both those guys there having really good years.
Well, Hill has a lot of power. He has 5 lifetime home runs against the Phillies.
Well, and remember, too, early on, this guy got hurt, ended up breaking his wrist or having something done where he wasn't starting after the first part of that season.
Cole gets in on, pop foul out of play.
Well, consequently, too, one of the reasons why it's been difficult for them to battle, they've had their share of injuries over the course of the year.
Hill's hitting 14 out of 15 games at a .397 clip. Line to left field. Dominic Brown won't get it. It'll go to the wall, and Aaron Hill will coast into second with a stand-up double. His 20th of the year. The D-backs with the runner in scoring position with 1 out here in the second.
Just too good a pitch. No balls and 2 strikes. Better pitcher than that. Throwing that ball in that position. It was a changeup. I know he wanted it down. Take a look at it, though. This is 0-2 as that ball comes in, and he's sitting back and just drives the ball there. Maybe get it out of the zone there, change that eye level, and then maybe come back to that pitch.
Matt Davidson made his major league debut on the 11th of August. A guy they think has a chance to be a good player, struggling a little bit early in his big league career, just 158. And facing Cole Hamels for the first time. And a pitch on the inside corner for a strike. There's 1 RBI so far, no extra base hits.
A little slightly open stance, pretty close to the plate, though.
That ball's hit to left center field. Dominic Brown is there and is hung up for him. And that's the second out of the inning. Hill will remain at second base. We'll be the first with breaking news in Philly sports. Get Philly sports when you're on the go, delivered right to your smartphone. Download the free CSN Sports app. Do it right now. Cliff Pennington, shortstop, has been busy early in this game. Will bat .235 with a homer and 18 runs batted in. 1 for 5 in that Red series that Sarge mentioned. It's kind of a disappointing series for these guys.
Well, they were in the ball games there for the most part.
They lost 2-1 yesterday, and both runs were wild pitched in. Mentioned what a huge number of wild pitches they have. First ball swinging again. And an easy out, it looks like, to Darren Ruff. He makes the play, and Cole Hamels, through 2 innings, has thrown only 21 pitches. Phillies will lead it off with Dominic Brown in the second. Monday night, September the 2nd at 7:05 is a Hatfield Phillies-Franks Dollar Dog Night. And then Tuesday night, September 3rd, the Phillies and the Nats at 7:05. Same thing the next night, the 4th at 7:05. Order your tickets now at Phillies.com. Dominic Brown, one of the many heroes of last night's game, will lead it off. There's Cole Hamels. Sarge, who's kind of breezed through the first two.
Yeah, and getting helped out, too. Take a look.
They're getting
Dominic Brown.
Yeah, they're getting a kick out of looking up at the board of these pictures.
The one thing, too, though, I mean, you really do have to like where he has come from with his year this year, spring training, and he's first ball swinging. Ball's not in the zone. We talked about that before, and I'm sure so is Steve Henderson, hitting coach.
A lot of quick outs. There he is.
Oh, boy.
The guys sitting in the dugout, they can't wait to look up and see what the pictures look like. Dominic Brown grounds out on one pitch. A lot of quick outs in this game so far on both sides.
Yeah, you want to swing at that first pitch. You want to be able to square it up.
Carlos has really been hot lately. Takes a pitch outside for a ball. There's Apollo 13 for Carlos Ruiz. That was a good movie. Didn't see that one.
I told Carlos he's got to remind himself that from where he's come from in that 8th spot, that he's still a pretty good hitter. You know, he's thrown out 6-3 right there.
He got jammed a little bit there and rolled one to Pennington, who's been busy out there with 3 assists so far. He's playing out on the grass there with Ruiz, not a fast runner, and that strong arm he has.
Sometimes, too, veteran players, even though they've had a good year or two and things go bad, you still got to really go to them and tell them, hey, you're a good hitter. You can still hit the ball. You can drive the ball. Just get back to basics.
Big laugh went up for Darren Ruff's picture. That ball's hit well to deep left center field. Back at the wall, and it's gone. Home run for Red Hot. Darren Ruff is 10th of the year, the 8th home run he's hit here in the month of August. Phillies jump on top, 1-0.
Well, looks like Darren, too, making the most of his playing time there. As Will's mentioned, that's his 10th home run. And let me tell you something. He's hitting the ball in the spot where the big guys hit him, out there near center field. Line drive. It was carrying and carrying. He knew that ball was gone as he back-legged it take a look at it hitting against that front foot, and it just keeps climbing. When you hit them out that way, you have some power, as it is a home run.
Marty Foster makes sure everybody knows it. Yeah, it got over the fence, and congratulations with that home run, Jack Doherty. Minnetonka, New Jersey has won $100 courtesy of the McDonald's home run jackpot, and that long home run by Darren Ruff. 8 home runs in 21 games this month.
Yeah, he's starting to supply that power we were talking about.
John Mayberry, the batter.
You know, when we talk about power, we talk about driving in runs, doubles.
Men in Black from 1997. There's John Mayberry. You know, one thing about Darren Ruff we keep talking about, Ryan Sandberg was talking about it before the game on his pregame radio show, Sarge, was hitting off the fastball early in the count. And that's what he just did.
Yeah, well, that's the way he actually hit. We all hit that way, adjusting on anything else because we didn't want to hit anything other than it was straight 92, 93. That's good action. That's good hitting. That speed. You start throwing it up near 96, 97. That's when you start to have some problems.
No balls and 2 strikes. Inside with the pitch, 1 and 2. Yeah, and there aren't too many guys that say they really go up there and look for that 0-2 breaking ball. They really want to do that.
Oh, no, that's just about insane. You'll adjust. Guys that you know that could throw it over the plate, you would have to kind of look for it, like Oral Hershiser. Good curveball, good command of it, would be around the plate with all of his breaking stuff. He wouldn't necessarily throw you a fastball in a hitting count.
2-2. And he loops one to right field. Long run out there for Eaton. He makes a play. And that'll end the inning. But that guy right there, a red hot hitter for the Phillies here in the month of August. He bombs one out to center field. Big boys area, as Sarge said. And take a look what they had on the scoreboard to encourage Darren Ruff to hit that home run ball. Question, log on to Phillies.com, go to the Phil section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. Sarge, as Tom would say to me.
Okay.
And the question is, what Philly hit an inside the park home run against the Diamondbacks on May 10th, 2002? The answer will be revealed in the 7th inning. You will have all that time to think about it. You know him very well, too. Give you a little hint right out of the chute. 406 feet on that big boy home run by Darren Ruff. Tuffy Ghostwich, the batter, one of the good guys. He's in the Phillies organization for a long time. There's Ruff. And moved over to Toronto, and now with the Diamondbacks getting a chance to play with Miguel Montero on the disabled list. Very good receiver. Ryan Sandberg had him for a while last year at Lehigh Valley. One of those guys, every year he'd show up in spring training and he was a captain in the golf tournament. He could really play golf.
Yeah.
Say, Tuffy, you're in, right?
Yeah.
Can I be a captain? Yeah. You got it.
And he came over today and again, just excited about being able to play.
Well, a lot of people in the organization are excited that he's in the major leagues and getting a chance. And he has 4 hits, 17 at bats. Guy's really paid his dues.
A lot of players have stayed in the minor leagues a long time to get their chance to come up and play. Maury Wells comes to mind. Almost 10 years he stayed in the minor leagues. That means you got to love it too. Back then they weren't making a lot of money at all to even support your family.
See, when the Phillies drafted him back in 2005, gets out in front of a changeup, little looper to left. Dominic Brown is right there and makes the play, 1 away. And Wade Miley will bat the pitcher. Has a home run this year and 5 runs batted in. Only hitting at 109 overall. 46 at bats. 11 strikeouts. And there are his lifetime numbers. Lefty, lefty.
There's just no justice. You look at those kind of stats. You go, wow, how could he even hit a ball out of the ballpark? But anytime anyone comes to the plate there with that bat in their hand, they become dangerous whether or not they've had a hit or not.
Right. And a pitcher can hit another guy's bat every once in a while. The ball go out of the ballpark.
And it's more like that happening than the opposite.
Yeah, much more likely. Miley is out of Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
He is from Hammond, Louisiana, and he went to Southeastern Louisiana University.
Larry Christensen always used to talk how good his stroke is as he takes a look right down the middle on a fastball.
Good hit. Hey, Sarge, he hit 2 home runs off Mickey Lolich in one game.
Yeah, I remember, and he brags about that. I thought Steve Carlton was the better hitter.
He's a good hitter.
Even though Larry Christensen got lucky that night and hit the ball out of the ballpark. You know he's listening to.
He hit a grand slam in the clincher in Chicago back in the 70s when the Phillies, I think it was 78 when they clinched.
So you're saying you like him up with the game on the line?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
2 outs and nobody on base, but he was dangerous if you hit his bat.
If you hit his bat.
Big swing, big uppercut swing, and he could launch him.
Fastball, slider, changeup he used to throw. Well, maybe that little curve ball before a slurve before he hurt his arm.
Fly ball to right field. Ruff got a good jump on it. Floats back towards the track at the wall. He puts it away, and A.J. Pollock hits it deep to right field. Run down by Darren Ruff. We are quickly through 2.5 on an absolutely beautiful night for baseball. ARI.com or your local dealer today. And by Citizens Bank, where good banking is good citizenship. Isn't it time you experience good banking? Lily cleared out nicely. Humidity's gone. Perfect night for a ball game. 1-0. Good pitching. And a home run by Darren Ruff, the difference in the game to this point. John McDonald out of the 8-hole will lead it off. Then Cole will bat. Hamels bats ninth. And back to the top of the order, Michael Young. This is the second time he started a game at shortstop, has John. And he hits it high in the air to left field. Playable out there for Geraldo. And Greg Murphy is standing by. Murph, what do you got for us on Retro Night?
Oh, what a night it is. We're in a time warp, it seems like, Wheels. I'm back to my, I guess, my early 20s in the 1990s. Take a look at what was happening back in the 1990s. A first-class stamp, just 25 cents, and by 1999, 33 cents to mail that letter. The world's population, over 5 billion. Of course, Seinfeld debuted in the 1990s as well. And, hey, the best movie that year, Driving Miss Daisy, back in 1990. And lots of folks celebrating Retro Night, Total Retro Night here at the ballpark. Not just the players that are wearing the uniforms, we're wearing the broadcast shirts as well. Take a look at some of the characters that have assembled here as well. Wheels, can you pick out anybody? Or Sarge, can you name any of these characters back here?
No.
Come on, not one?
Oh,
no.
Boy.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, yeah. All right, I got. All right.
Who do you got?
I've got,
you got Noah. League of Our Own.
Yeah.
Dottie from the League of,
Right.
Yeah.
That was
Billy Madison over here.
That was a Gina Davis character.
That's right. Britney Spears is here.
Right.
And Elaine from Seinfeld. Doing her dance.
Deanna did a great job there.
Everybody getting into the spirit here tonight, guys. So you feel you just feel younger tonight. I do. I don't know about you guys.
Well, we're trying.
Thanks, Murph. Wow. Wish I could have seen you participate in something like that.
Who, Murph? There's Waldo.
Friend Waldo?
You're right in the middle of that, aren't you?
I'm right in the middle of it. Justin Timberlake,
I see
a
him
look-alike, sort of, is here.
I like that League of Your Own, though.
It's a good movie. That was really good. That's the Gina Davis character there, the catcher. That's Deanna. Hamels a line drive base hit center field.
It's just a good stroke. That has a good swing. And one of the things you like about him is the pride that he has. All those pitchers, though, but I don't know. It used to be him and Lee. Now Kendrick has kind of come on, but
There's Geraldo Parra. He's really a good player, and Pollock is in center. Michael Young fouls it away. Cole Hamels with his 8th hit of the year, and he's a good base runner on there at first base. He could first to third. Grounded third base side. Juan Samuel. He looks perfect in that uniform because he wore that a lot.
yeah, that was a nice uniform. So could really get off of first base a little bit more. I know a lot of times pitchers don't like trying to get back, getting in the dirt, but it would make it easier for him, a ball in the gap to score, to get to first and third.
And a foul tip at home plate stays alive.
Kind of overly cautious there, not wanting to get picked off.
Young, a line drive to center field, but Pollock is right there, makes the play, 2 outs, and Hamels will coast on back to first base.
Good read on that.
And Kevin Franson will bat. Kevin grounded to short his first time up. He is 0 for 1, looking for some hits. He had a lot of pinch hits for the Phillies early in the year. Been struggling a little bit lately.
Yeah, getting kind of out of his rhythm, a little bit jumpy there at the plate. Usually he's notorious that first pitch fastball to square it up. He's been fouling it off and hitting the end off the end of his bat. Just got to go back to maybe trying to stay up the middle. That will help you get out of that slump quicker than anything.
Good fastball hitter, and he's going to get a fastball right here behind the count 0-1. And a hard ground ball, but right at Hill, bobbles, and he throws him out, and that'll end the inning. No runs to hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We are through 3. Phil's lead at 1-0. Phil or worse, WB Mason has an all-star selection of cleaning products to mop it up. We can use that in the office too, couldn't we?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Along with those 3 vacuums that we have.
It does get a little bit messy back there.
Well, in certain spots.
Yeah. Some more than others. Adam Eaton will lead it off, and he is in right field. Nothing has changed in their lineup, even though I was trying to get another guy in the game. We'll wait later for Geraldo Carr.
Yeah.
He's getting
well, Parra's actually a little bit shorter, though, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. But he's left-handed.
Stocky.
He's left-handed hitter, left-handed thrower. Parr's a heck of a player, getting a night off. Cole Hamels here at the start of the game. Cole has breezed through 3 innings. He's only given up 1 hit, a double to Aaron Hill. And he's been doing that a lot, Sarge, throwing strike 1.
Yeah. Well, he's done that really that second half. Been just really competing. No, he can't control the outcome of the game in most cases, but he can compete. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Fouled away left side out of play. First pitch strike so far to 9 out of 11 hitters. That is a real good way to pitch.
Yeah, now you get those hitters in a swing mode, and hitting coach is telling them to attack. But you attack, though, when it's a fastball as opposed to this changeup. Oh, that's a fastball. Hit him.
He nipped him with that. How about that? So Eaton is hit by a pitch. Goldschmidt has been unbelievable this year, and what a player he's become for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Murph has more on him.
Yeah, Wheels, just 25 years old is Paul Goldschmidt. You mentioned earlier that right now tops among all players in the National League with 100 RBIs, 31 home runs, tied for first in the National League. And, you know, for a first baseman, that's something that doesn't happen very often. Take a look at this. Since 1970, only 5 first basemen in the National League have led in both categories. You see, the last guy to do it was Albert Pujols back in 2010, as Don Brown does not see that one.
And it's a fair ball. You could see that right out of the chute that he was struggling with this high sky right now. And that's tough. That turns into a double. Fly ball to left.
Usually you'll have that shortstop that will be pointing, but right away it's a little bit dust right now, and you will not see the ball. Those are the kind of things that have been happening.
Yep.
Nicole Hamill, just buzzard's luck that he's having. You can see right away Dominic saying, hey, I don't see it. I don't see it. It is a helpless feeling when you don't see the ball at all because you just can't go to it. You can see McDonald pointing, but that's a little bit late as he gets the ball to throw it in. By then, it's just too late.
Yeah, McDonald had forever to go to it. He couldn't go catch it. All you do is point at it there at the end. So he nips a batter to start the inning. And then Goldschmidt hits a fly ball to left that's lost in the twilight. Second and third, nobody out. They'll play it back in the middle up at the corners.
Right, good enough hitter and getting luck. And Murph was just talking about him and all the RBIs and home runs that he's been hitting.
Well, Murph, that'll help his totals.
Yeah, it certainly will. You know, when things are going right for you, things are going right. And, we just showed that graphic. Ryan Howard, of course, on that list as well. He did it twice. And then you have to go back into the 90s before another first baseman was able to lead. Of course, that's at the end of the season. And just to a footnote on that last story, Don Brown, I'm out here in center field, and I never saw that ball off the bat either. So it is a difficult sky right now for whatever reason, guys.
Sarge, that has to be one of the most helpless feelings.
You're looking up, you know it's in the vicinity, but you can't see the ball. That's why you rely on that infielder to do some pointing. Donald pointed, but by then he was pointing on the ground.
Right.
Dominic could see it then.
I'll pick it up. Once I see it hit the ground, you could hear it hit the ground. Prado fouls it away. So they'll give up a run here to tie the game on a ground ball towards the middle.
Well, for me, this is where Cole has gotten better during the second half when things go wrong for him, not getting all upset. Remember before he would just visibly get upset. Now what he's doing, going back, concentrating, trying to make his pitches.
1 ball and 2 strikes now on Prado. And he fouls it off, got in on him.
It's a tough hitter. Always has been and always seems to play well against the fighting fields. He did when he was with Atlanta.
It doesn't seem to be a big swing and a miss guy. Tough to strike out. You figure he's going to put the ball in play.
He doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes. And if you don't mind hitting with 2 strikes, usually you're going to be a pretty good hitter. See if you throw him a fastball here out of the zone. Oh, a breaking ball. Good block.
Yeah, he went with a rare curveball. May have been the first one he's thrown tonight.
Yeah.
And Carlos Ruiz keeps it in front of him. The count now 2-2.
Well, one thing I like about it, though, he threw the ball hard as opposed to that little soft, slow one that would come breaking down and in. If it's up a little higher, those are the pitches you'll get check swings on with aggressive hitters, although not as an aggressive hitter, Prado.
Line drive, base hit left field, and it's going to go to the wall. Extra bases for Prado. He does it again, knocks in 2 runs, and it's 2-1 now in favor of the Arizona Diamondbacks on Prado's 27th double of the year. He now has 62 runs batted in. Boy, did that scoot in a hurry.
Oh, yeah, that ball was just scalded. Once it hit the grass, it was off and going. Too good of a pitch there. Fastball up in the zone. Not going to hit that one there. You almost have to trick a Prado or something with that change up or whatever. And that ball, fastball out over the zone there, he's going to have a good look at that one.
A little mound conference there is Eaton, who was hit by a pitch, and then Goldschmidt, who had life on the pop fly to left field that was lost in the twilight by Dominic Brown. They both score, and Aaron Hill will bat. He had a double his first time up. With 1 out, and the second was stranded.
Yeah, nothing Dominic could do about that. Just the time of the night when that ball is hit, gets up in the air, you look up, can't find it.
And he grounds it to first, gives himself up. Good play there by Franson, steps on the bag. But Aaron Hill will get congratulations. He goes back to the bench. He gets Prado over to third with 1 out. For years, StubHub has been the place to find great Phillies tickets, and this season you can get more with your tickets thanks to StubHub Fan Rewards. So get to StubHub and grab your seats today. They're going to play the infield in now with 1 out, and Matt Davidson, the batter, hit a fly ball to left field his first time up.
This is controlled damage.
And that's shooting towards the gap, and it'll be cut off this time by Dominic Brown, but it's a base hit and an RBI. And just like that, it is 3-1 in favor of the D-backs. Looks like he hit a changeup off the end of the bat and gets himself an RBI, his second major league run batted in.
Yeah, now he's getting really hurt on good pitches. Made a good pitch there to Goldschmidt. This was another good pitch off the end of the bat there, changeup. It's down there, and you can see is off the end of the bat just enough. However, to get it out into left field.
4 to 5 batters have reached base in this inning. 1 out. Pennington, the hitter, and he takes it low for ball 1. He hit a fly ball to Darren Ruff in right field his first time up. Ruff hit a home run. He the Phils a 1-0 lead. The Diamondbacks have struck back with 3 here in the 4th.
It won't show up in the box scores, but Aaron Hill there doing a real good job in getting the runner over.
Thinks about bunting, takes a strike call, 1-1. I think he thought that pitch was a little bit outside.
Just got to continue to pitch, continue to make your pitches. Looking for a ground ball now.
Comes in low, 2-1. Good hit and run count now if the Arizona Diamondbacks want to go that route. Try and stay out of that double play.
The managers used to use that quite a bit. I mean, you could almost book it and count on it in those situations. Not so much anymore.
There's a line drive to left. That one's easier. Right at Dominic Brown, 2 outs. It comes in low like that, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Sunday night, the Union continue their playoff push when they tangle with the Revolution. Jack McInerney seems to score well against the Revs. This week he'll look to do it again. The Union battle the Revolution at Sunday night at 7:30, and it's only right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Here's Tuffy go switch. Who fly to left field his first time up. Outfielders are out there right now, and also the guys on the bench for the D-backs saying, get dark a little faster.
Oh, boy.
It's just a beautiful night here. Nice sunset out to the west, but that twilight has played a big part in this inning.
And keep in mind, too, Goldschmidt hits the ball so high.
Yeah.
I mean, he just missed from really hitting it out of the ballpark. Thought Cole made a good pitch on him to get him to pop it up like that. Then he gets rewarded for a double.
It started to get dark now. We still have a little of that twilight remaining. Get that in Atlanta a lot of times because they don't have any lights in the outfield. Cole breezed through the first 3 innings and now a long 4th. Falls behind, go switch, 3 balls and a strike. The pitcher, Wade Miley, with the lead now, waits on deck. See what he's done in this inning, 20 pitches.
Yeah.
Only threw 34 through the first 3. And a full count.
Yeah, that's when he's got to find that composure and kind of make sure that, okay, I'm giving up this. This is all they're going to get.
Franson will back up at first base as Matt Davidson will be off on the pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And a little chopper foul to Matt Williams at third.
There's that change up again. Matt Williams, his thing's been rumored for possible job or interview there with the Washington Nationals.
Rizzo, their general manager, has connections with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
He was in their organization for a number of years. So some of the names of those players are being kicked around are people from the Diamondbacks. Another changeup grounded in the hole to left, a base hit. And Tuffy Goswitch gets himself a hit here against his former organization. Stopping at second base is Davidson. So 2 on with 2 outs. And a reminder that tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box. Miley struck out looking his first time up.
Just keep it away. Don't want to throw the ball inside. He's got a swing that is going right toward first base, meaning that he's bailing on the pitch.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he can reach anything away.
That's why I just says no justice. You look at that hat. Again, with him having a home run, and he must have got it all.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out on 3 pitches, but major damage in this inning caused mostly by that lost fly ball in left field. The Bags put up 3 and lead it 3-1. Not worth building by Xfinity, the official HD triple play provider of your Philadelphia Phillies, and by Toyota. Toyota's nationwide clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Phillies need to go places right now and get some runs as the sun continues to set here on this perfect night. Look at this skyline, how beautiful it is. Cole Hamels, you said Sarge put it so well. He had another one of those goofy type innings that he's had all year.
Yeah, just making good pitches and not getting rewarded on it. But his job, again, is just to give the team a chance to win. You know, plays like that is a good example that nothing you can do about it.
Hey, stuff happens. And he just barely hit the leadoff batter, Eaton, and then the fly ball to left field's lost. And all of a sudden, here we go. Second and third turns into a 3-run inning. Phillies only down by 2 as we go to the 4th. It'll be Utley, Brown, Ruiz will go left, left, right against the left-hander Wade Miley. Detroit Tigers are up in New York tonight. And Cabrera, even though he's been hurt a lot lately, he keeps playing. He has a home run and 3 more runs batted in. He's 2 for 2.
It's amazing. Just amazing.
He now has 19 games with 3 RBIs or more this year. Only 10 players, team player with more is Hank Greenberg, who was some hitter for the Tigers. He had 23 in 1935, 20 in 37 and 38 to the great Hank Greenberg. 3 balls and no strikes on Chase, trying to get on base.
Yeah, let's just face it, too. That ballpark that Cabrera plays in is not the friendliest for hitters.
Big. And strike call to Chase. Phillies with 2 hits so far off Miley. A home run by Ruff, single by Hamels. 3-1, swings through it. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Got to get set a little bit quicker. No, he's looking 3-1. He's looking fastball. So if you're back and if you're set, you should be able to make solid contact, because you're selling out on that pitch that would be middle in, and that ball looked to be in.
And fouls it back. Left-handed hitters hitting 278 off Miley, and right-handed hitters 254. 15, now 16 of the 19 home run balls that he's thrown are hit by right-handed hitters this year. Tuffy goes switch, wants a fastball in, and he fouls another one off. May have chased ball 4 that time, but it's close, a little bit up in the zone. But stays alive, still 3-2, giving Miley a long at bat here. Good crowd on this perfect night for a game at Citizens Bank Park.
A little respect there, that 3-2 breaking ball.
Continues to spoil him.
Yeah, I'm not sure of Tim McCullen back there. That's why he is swinging at that pitch that would be 3-2. You're not sure. Better to foul the pitch off if you can.
Go with that fastball in again. And he nubs this one towards first. Hill coming on. Tough play, and he got him. Wow. That's the kind of play Utley makes a lot of times. Great play by the second baseman, Aaron Hill, one away.
Boy, hit in one of those spots where all 3 fielders had a chance to get the ball. Aaron Hill coming in, tumbling, and making a play with the bare hand. Not going to see much better play than that. Selling out all the way. That's either going to be a hit or an out. Look at that bare hand as he in the air and throwing that ball, and you can see clearly getting Utley there at first base. 4-3 if you're scoring.
10 pitch at bat for Chase Utley ends in that fine play, and a good call by the young umpire at first, Clint Fagan. Dominic Brown pulls off that first pitch. There's Fagan. Doing pretty good breaking ball. Another one. Dominic grounded out. He's only seen 3 pitches tonight, and he swung at all 3. I'm grounded out first time up, swinging 2 sliders here.
Yeah, some of those lefties, he's got to get to the point, where he kind of serves that ball to left field.
And they try another one. This one way outside.
The more you try and pull the ball, the more your head's going to come off of the ball. You want to make sure that when you're swinging, and not a lot of hitters can do that, when you make contact, you want to see that ball make contact to the bat. Pete Rose used to talk about that.
He Nubs another one to first. Goldschmidt right there, 2 outs. Both times Dominic's been retired on 3 unassisted. Well, swing for the fences with a new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It's available on iPhone and iPad and downloaded free today. Carlos Ruiz grounded to short his first time up. 2 outs and nobody on base as Miley is trying for the shutdown inning here.
Yeah, I just think guys starting to square some balls up. You know, again, Rhino talked about quality at bats.
And facing a hot pitcher here too. This guy in his last 5 starts is 3-0 with a 2 earned run average. And he has 8 ground ball outs so far here tonight. That's a nice way to live in this yard.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at that velocity that he's throwing, 91, 92. These guys should be able to have better swings and better contact. You're right, a lot of confidence. Wade Miley has coming into the game, and that has a lot to do with your performance on the field.
Hard ground ball this time, right at Davidson, the third baseman. A little bit of a high throw, but easy play over there for Goldschmidt. 3 up and 3 down go the Phils. No runs, hits, errors, nobody left. We are through 4. D-backs by 2. Come on out on Sunday at 1:35. Phil's in these D-backs and a Phillies backpack free to fans 14 and under. It's compliments of ShopRite, a really good-looking item. Order your tickets now at Phillies.com. I guess the moms and dads are, well, they're kind of happy that back to school time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kidding me? You can hardly wait for those bells to start ringing.
Kids aren't that excited about it, right?
No, they usually aren't, but some are, though. I mean, ready to get back into their job, as they say.
Yeah. Strike call to the leadoff batter, A.J. Pollock, who's 0 for 2. He's grounded out, flied out. Hamill's controlling the game for the first 3 innings, then running into some problems, not all his fault, in the 4th. Cole in the month of August is 1-0 in 4 starts with a 1.45 earned run average going into the game tonight. Hasn't won a lot of games, but has pitched well in all of them.
Yeah, he's been competing, especially the second half.
Pitch there, a swing and a miss, struck him out, 1 away here in the 5th.
That's the one that he wanted to Prado.
Yeah, curveball. And he got him to chase it.
Take a look at it. It's that ball comes in and almost impossible to hit as it goes towards the ground.
Well, he has 4 pitches when he throws that curveball. Think of it more as fastball, changeup, cutter is 3rd pitch, and then curveball is 4th pitch. When he can mix that in, he can really be effective.
Especially if he's around the plate and not bouncing it.
Here's Eaton, the batter. He popped up his first time up, then he was nipped by that pitch in the 4th inning. The 9th batter hit by Hamels this year. That got the 3-run rally started. There's another ground ball to short. John McDonald with that quick release throws him out, 2 away. And that will bring us to a look at our Mazda leaders. And we talked about this guy a lot already tonight, Sarge. What a year he's having.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you. Anytime you get 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, you have done your job if you're hitting in that 3, 4, 5 spot. See the history there, the Diamondbacks.
Jay Bell had a heck of a year there in '99 for them. Another guy's name's getting kicked around a little bit for the Nationals job.
Yeah, you're right about that.
He was a hard-nosed player with Jay Bell.
No, those are the kind of teams, though, as a young manager, you really want to be able to have. And I say that because of the talent that they have on that team. Bo Porter's name's been mentioned again. He was a coach over there at one time, 3rd base coach.
Yeah, he's now the manager of the Houston Astros. They're having the tough year everybody predicted they'd have.
Yeah, well, they've kind of traded guys away, trying to get younger players.
Nice play there by Michael Young, who's over at 3rd base, and Cole snaps back with a 1-2-3 5th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody bet. We're halfway through this one. See Darren Ruff will lead it off. Phillies trail it by 2. Park. And tonight's cold hard fact is brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And there it is, Darren Ruff, the first Phillies rookie to hit 8 or more home runs in a single calendar month since pretty good home run hitter named Ryan Howard hit 10 in September of '05.
Wow.
Ruff hitting a long home run his first time up over the State Farm sign out there. Deep left field, 400 left center field, 406 feet.
I'll tell you what, he's got good upper body strength.
He grounds one weakly to short. They're doing a lot of that off Miley. High throw and the tag by Goldschmidt, and he got him. Running as hard as he can. That's something that, you know, Ruff's not a big time runner. Trying to get down the line, and here's the play off a changeup, Sarge.
Yeah, that's where he needs to kind of recognize again. He's a fastball hitter. When you do that, if you have 2 strikes on you, okay, as he runs right through the bag there. You got to make sure you hit that right in the front there. I mean, don't want to deviate too much unless you've already thought about sliding. Good way to hurt your ankle and so on at the last minute.
See, guys hurt a heel a lot of times too, and they jump at the bag. Now, guys slide into first, which is really a bad play.
Sure
that
is.
may be one of the few times you see a guy slide into first head first when they see the first baseman go up in the air off the bag like that, and even then it's dangerous.
Well, it's hard to do it though. Once you see him going, you got to be a little ways away from him.
Right. It's just not a good play when guys go head first into first base.
Take a chance on breaking your finger, spraining ankles, wrist rather.
0-2 on John Mayberry, flied out to right his first time up. Going to go breaking ball here to him. And he holds up 1-2.
Yeah, they need base runners. Gotta have base runners. Put a little pressure on.
Only 2 hits so far, a home run and a single. Home run by Ruff, single by Cole Hamels.
The only way you're gonna be able to put that pressure on them by having base runners. Gotta tell you though, Miley's been keeping it out of the heart of the plate.
Yeah, he's not hitting many barrels here tonight, and you can see by his numbers coming in. 3 earned runs or less in his last 8 starts on the road. And he's 2-3 in those games with a 2.36 earned run average. You're running into a pitcher who has been really good. You never know when McClellan's going to come up with that right hand. That was close, 2-2.
You know what he'll do too, though, when you're down there, you'll hear him say strike, but the call, he's going to delay it and give it to you late.
Well, he tells the people that should know what's happening, and that's the players. There's another ground ball hit weakly, and another out at first base. This one over there by Davidson, and Phillies are playing Pepper with the left side of that infield, 2 away.
Yeah, he's kind of cruising there too and getting.
That is now 11 ground ball outs already.
Thing is too, he's hitting them where he's jamming the hitters, getting them off the end of the bat. That end of the bat is the changeup. And getting jammed inside is either that little cutter that he throws or fastball in on the hands.
John McDonald hit a fly ball his first time up to left field, and he takes a strike, thinking about bunting his way on to get the pitcher's spot out of the way, or even get a good hitter like Cole Hamels up there. There he is, Cole, with one of the 2 Phil's hits tonight.
Yeah, he needs to be swinging the bat for me. Well, you might run into one. Maybe you end up hitting a double. No, I don't want him bunting and then Cole coming up. Usually then it's going to take you a couple more hits to get the runner in.
He misses down and away, 2-1. Miley's a 26-year-old. He was a supplemental pick in the 43rd round back in June of 2008 for the D-backs. And 3-1. Good at bat here by McDonald, trying to clear the pitcher's spot.
Not usually too. Again, in this age spot, you can make him pitch or throw another pitch, but you usually get that same pitch, 3-2, that you'd get 3-1.
And a strike call, 3-2. First pitch strikes tonight by Wade Miley, 13 out of 17 hitters.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's been around the plate all night.
Walked him.
Quality.
Good job.
Yep.
Good job by a player who knows how to play the game in that 8-hole, knowing, all right, let's clear the pitcher's spot.
It's a good point. I mean, not swinging at the 3-1. And 3-2 was really wide. So good quality at bat.
And a foul tip held on to by Ghostwitch, 0-1. Cole singled to center his first time up and was stranded. Holding McDonald on at first. Good hole on the right side for Hamels. Watch Ghostwitch back there. He's a good receiver.
Yeah.
Moves around real well. Smooth. Always was a good receiver in the organization.
excited about playing.
Well, you talk about a guy who's paid his dues. Calls for breaking ball there, a slider, and swing and a miss, 1-2.
Well, pitching Cole like he's a regular hitter. That's why he went to the breaking ball in that situation.
And another one blocked nicely there by Tuffy, and it's 2-2. Use that hockey goalie style mask so he can wears the soft cap underneath. That was a hard ground ball, but it's right at Hill. Gobbles it up, throws him out, and that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left through 5. 3-1 Diamondbacks.
Turned it up several notches since the beginning of July. The Phillies left-hander, who struggled for results through his first 17 starts, has delivered a 2.05 ERA in his last 9 starts. In 8 of those 9 starts, Cole has pitched 7+ innings, allowing 2 earned runs or less. During the current month, Cole has allowed just 5 earned runs in 31 innings while walking just 2 batters. The lefty has been a much-needed pick-me-up to the rotation. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless.
Well, there are a lot of good things about the 90s, but I don't know if the Macarena was one of them.
Oh, boy. Well, everybody was doing it. I mean,
over and over. Get mad.
I mean, you had to enjoy. You never did that dance at all?
If I did, I don't remember it.
Well, then that means you're doing it right. Oh, boy.
We thank Total for sponsoring 90s Retro Night. It's been a lot of fun here at the ballpark. 3-1 right now. Well-pitched game on both sides. Martin Prado has a big hit in this game, a 2-run double. He give the Diamondbacks a lead, then they added another run in that 3-run 4th inning. No, he will lead it off out of the 4-hole. Aaron Hill to follow. Ball hit high in the air to left center field. Dominic Brown says he has it. Here comes Mayberry, runs him off it. That's a good play by John Mayberry because they've had some communication problems out there, Sarge.
Yeah, they have been, as you see smiles there with Dominic. Yeah, that is to center fielder's play. He's got to have those balls in both left center, right center. You could say, I got it, I got it.
Yeah, that was the problem the other night. He wasn't yelling, I got it, and it dropped out there.
Yeah, well, he has to take a peek over because you can use your hand to let the guy know that you can catch the ball. A lot of times with the crowd, you're not able to hear, I got it, I got it.
9 fly ball outs right now for Cole Hamels, and it has a nice dark sky now. You don't have to worry about that twilight anymore. Look out. They're looking for the baseball down there. Everybody's okay. No balls and 2 strikes on Aaron Hill, who's doubled and grounded out. Gave himself up last time to move Prado over to third base, where he scored on the broken bat hit by Matt Davidson.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah, and that won't show up in the box score, but big part of Diamondbacks being able to score the run.
Nick Cole with 73 pitches now with 1 out here in the 6th inning.
Plus, too, that hitter, he just feels a lot more comfortable with that runner at third as opposed to second, especially with that 1 out or less.
And that infield in. That's a nice feeling.
Oh, boy.
What are you thinking when you play in the infield was in? What are you trying to do?
I didn't play in that infield end, but when they were in and I was up.
No, I mean when you're hitting.
I was just trying to just smoke it. I mean, it didn't matter whether or not, it was up or not. I knew if it wasn't right at them, you had a good chance of getting the RBI.
Yeah, we didn't want you playing in the infield. No, I meant when you were hitting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a hitter's delight.
Oh, I think so.
And the other thing that's scary is when you're at first base and you have Willie McCovey that is swinging, and you have some little soft throwing right hand. Well, he made everybody seem to throw soft.
Fouled away.
Then they'd always tell you, hey, don't run, because they want that hole to be open for McCovey.
Well, I'm lucky enough to see him play a lot of games, and what a great hitter. Hall of Famer Willie Stretch McCovey. Fly ball foul down the left field line. It'll go to the crowd.
And when he walked to the plate, he really walked to the plate, and you knew he was going to be doing some damage.
Boy, did he ever. Great years with the Giants and then with the Padres.
Boy, and all those right-handed pitchers, I mean, from Gibson, Drysdale. Love hitting against those guys.
3 balls and 2 strikes now as Hill's giving Hamels a good at bat.
As good a hitter and Hall of Famer as Willie McCovey was, he said that Willie Mays is the gentleman that really made him play. Made the game easy for him.
And another foul ball out of play. Well, 2 of the greatest players ever you're talking about there in Mays and McCovey. Starting out with the New York Giants for Mays. Willie McCovey broke in against the Phillies against Robin Roberts in the afternoon at Candlestick Park.
Yeah.
And he had a big game, too.
Hit the ball pretty hard that
day. He had a big game that day. Here's a 3-2. And he walked him. Tremendous at bat there by Aaron Hill. He's a 1-out base runner. Ruben Amaro was down in the Phillies dugout with the media before the game. Had an update on a few guys, one of them being Jonathan Pettibone. What do you have to say, Murph?
Well, Wheels, you're right. We told you last night during the broadcast that the news was not real good after Jonathan Pettibone's last rehab start was having some soreness in his shoulder. Well, Ruben Amaro giving the update today. He does indeed have some inflammation in his rotator cuff, and he has some changes in his labrum too, but they said that is relatively normal at the stage of his career right now. So what they're going to do, shut him down 3 to 6 weeks, which will probably effectively end his season, and then he'll also get a second opinion, get another doc to take a look at those pictures and see where they're at. Ryan Sandberg was asked about Pettibone today, just kind of evaluate what he thought he saw this year, and he said he saw a young guy that really stepped up to the occasion, really battled when given the opportunity, and he's excited about Jonathan Pettibone's future in this rotation going forward, but it looks like we're going to have to wait until next season to see Jonathan Pettibone take that next step in his career, guys.
Overall, Murph, Ruben sounded, though, like they were pleased with what they heard.
Yeah, whenever you hear that kind of thing in a shoulder of one of your pitchers, obviously you are worried about that, but yes, the news was best case scenario, as Ruiz guns down the runner right there.
Yeah, that almost looked. You thought maybe that was a potential hit and run count right there. That pitch was so far inside to Davidson, he made no attempt at it, and he's gunned down by plenty, Sarge.
Yeah, well, he was. If it was hit and run, and he did look back, so that would tell me that it was. The guy's always trying to hit that ball, say to right field. You got to hit the ball wherever it's pitched. So in other words, if you pull it, you end up pulling it. You just want to hit the ball hard in the hit and run.
So you're the hitter in the hit, and we'll get back to it. I want to ask you about that.
Sure.
Strikes him out on a breaking ball, and just like that, the inning's over. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. Phillies will bat here in the bottom of the 6th inning. They'll start it with the top of the order, and Michael Young. Who's he looking for? 3-1. Go further. By WB Mason, you can't go wrong when you buy right. And by Nissan, at Nissan's bottom line sales event, choose a better way to drive and save. Choose Nissan.com today. Here's a look at Roy Halladay. He will pitch on Sunday, Sarge, at Reading as he continues his comeback.
Well, he's determined to hopefully pitch sometime this year back in the major leagues. No one is doubting him at this point.
Michael Young, the batter. He's grounded out and flied out. A lot of ground ball outs tonight by Phillies hitters. Only 78 pitches by Wade Miley to this point.
He's keeping that ball really down near the knees.
There's another one. Well, they've been busy out there.
Yeah.
Pennington with another play, one away here in the 6th inning. So, what do I ask you about hit and run? You're the batter. There's a hit and run. What is your job there? Are you trying to protect the runner at all costs? Do you swing no matter where it is, or do you decide, well, I can't hit it in that situation, I take it? What do you do?
Usually, no matter where the pitch is, you're going to want to swing. But the fact is, and even in teaching it, that you want to hit the ball hard. You'd like for it to be on the ground because the runner is actually running. But if it's an inside pitch, very difficult to hit the ball to the right side. So, I mean, if you just hit it and hit it hard, you're protecting that runner that's running. And if you get it in the right spot, could have yourself base hit first and third. And usually it's meant for guys, too, that have been struggling at the plate side. A lot of times the manager will put on that hit and run just to get you kind of going a little bit.
Right, man, concentrate on hitting the ball, putting it in play somewhere.
Yeah, and at times, and I've talked about it before, on our 84 club there with Sandberg, we were allowed to do our own hit and runs, put our own hit and runs on. But again, you have to know the right situation. That's why, again, for him to be managing now, Rhino, it's really no secret because just about all of us were managing when we were there in 84.
Jim Fry was just kind of hanging out.
Just hanging out. I mean, he had the same line. We had the same lineup every day.
Just a push button guy. That was a good team.
And even back then, I mean, with Bob Denier leading off, Sandberg would continually getting on Bob Denier if he was hitting or popping the ball up in the cage. Again, Bob Denier's job leading off is to score 100 runs.
Swinging a foul tip. Kevin stays alive. Those names you keep mentioning there. Phillies did a nice job of helping that team, huh?
Well, thanks a lot. Yeah. Actually, just Bob Bob Denier getting a Gold Glove that particular year in '84, if you can remember that.
Hughes, Sandberg. There's a line drive just fouled down the third baseline. Kevin Franson trying to get it on base here. Only down by 2. Phillies have been coming from behind. They have 3 of them here in this week.
Yeah, they like it in the 9th, though.
Yeah, well, Rhino was talking about that tonight. That's fun, but maybe do a little earlier would be better.
Yeah, better for the ticker.
Yeah. Grounded up the middle, and this one has eyes and gets through for a base hit. They're playing him the pull there, and Kevin hits it right back through the middle. The Phillies have their 3rd hit of the ball game, a 1-out base runner. Well, it's time now, Sarge, for a Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Yeah, take a look at this right here as Aaron Hill comes in and in one motion there in the air makes this particular play. Take a look at it and got him by a step. That is our defensive play of the game by Hyundai.
That's right. It's brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Good job.
Leave it up there. I would have got it.
I know. I'm used to reading that one.
Okay.
Tom's a little family function tonight. He'll be back with us tomorrow for people tuning in wondering where T-Mac is. No problems with him. He will return. And we'll be glad to see him.
Now I see why no one's been having a large lead over there at first base. The runners that have been on. Miley has a pretty good move there as Franson scrambling back, trying to get underneath the tag, in which he did.
Times are pretty good. Runners so far this year, 7 have attempted, 3 successfully. Good play in the dirt there by Go Switch on that breaking ball away to Chase, who was grounded out twice. That hit for Kevin Franson had to feel really good. It ended in 0-for-17.
I got to tell you, when you're doing that, you almost think there's too many fielders on the field. Everywhere you hit the ball, somebody's there.
And when you're did that hit him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't wait for the call.
Yeah. And they look over. They get the appeal to third.
Yeah.
To see whether he swung at it or not.
Just to see whether or not he swung or not. Well, he didn't even hesitate. We've seen him before. He stays right in there as good as any hitter in the game. Take a look at it, and I don't know exactly where it hit him at.
Hit his shirt. Hit that retro shirt.
Well, he can hear that as he gets over to first base.
Yeah, it was a good job, too, by the veteran umpire. Tim McClellan immediately pointed at Marvin Hudson at third and made a motion with his hands. Did he swing? And they said no. So there's 1 out. Phillies have a threat now with 2 on. First time tonight they've had 2 base runners. And Dominic Brown, who's grounded out to Goldschmidt twice at first base, takes that fastball away.
Good time to be squaring one up, trying to see if he can get it right there in the gap.
3rd in the league in homers with 27, 7th with runs batted in with 80. Man, high, good eye, 2-0.
In the driver's seat.
Chase Utley's been hit by pitches 156 times. That was probably one of the better ones for him because he's taken some nasty ones over the years.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
2-0. Line drive left field in for a base hit. Franson got a late start, so Juan Samuel's going to have to hold him. They'll be loaded with 1 out here for Carlos Ruiz.
Well, not really good base running. You're on second base, shouldn't have to look back to see where the fielder is. You should have already done that. And if you had him, you would have been able to score on this particular ball. You got to check out and see where the fielders are once you're over at second base. So when the ball is hit, you know that you can score on that ball immediately. Franson kind of hesitated, took a look, but by then, Juan Samuel doing the right thing, holding him right there at third base.
Right. At this point in the game with only 1 out and a guy like Ruiz coming up off a left-hander, you don't want to get somebody thrown out there.
And it wasn't like it was right at him. I mean, it was more toward, not really left center, but more toward center than left.
There's Carlos, has one grand slam home run. Charlie Nagy, the pitching coach, great pitcher with the Cleveland Indians at one time, goes out for a conversation with Miley. So you want to stay away from that ground ball now. That's been his best pitch, or best weapon all night for Miley. They're going to play the infield actually behind double play depth a little bit with a 2-run lead and a slower runner at the plate. And Miley will step off. Franson at third base, Chase Utley at second, and Dominic Brown on at first. So he's in a big swing.
That's too hard. Too hard of a swing. And anytime you see Carlos' head jerk around like that, or any other hitters for that matter, just too hard of a swing.
That's J.J. Poots in the bullpen right now.
Got to stay within yourself.
And he misses with it. 2 balls and 1 strike. That's one of the reasons, Sarge, lately that Carlos has been so effective. His swing's been a lot shorter.
Shorten up his swing, and again, he kind of remembered that, hey, I am a pretty good hitter. Got to be able to think that. Got to know it.
Line drive, left field, fair or foul. It's a fair ball, extra bases. Franson scores, Utley scores. Dominic Brown being stopped at third. Phillies tie the game 3-3 on a good swing by Carlos Ruiz. He doubles the left.
Got to make him feel good again. Especially when you haven't been hitting the ball the way that you should, and all of a sudden it kind of comes to you.
Well, he got ahead in the count, too. That was good. He gets him to get the ball up here. Sargent, he nails it.
Yeah, pulled that ball there. Just a matter of whether or not it was going to be fair or foul. You knew he wasn't going to be able to catch it as Franson and Utley comes in your pitchers, and oh yeah, there it is again.
It's an example of really good coaching at third base by Juan Samuel not to get somebody thrown out before that play.
He's been here before.
Oh yeah, he knows his yard too. Here's Ruff with the infield up at the corners, back in the middle. So right now the Phillies can take the lead if Darren Ruff can hit a ground ball towards the middle of the diamond and even make an out.
Good point. That's where he wants to be. Staying up the middle if you can. Just drive the ball.
Fly ball foul down the right field line and out of play, and the count even. Here's that home run he hit earlier, Sargent. It was a bomb.
Yeah, well, you would think Miley's going to stay away from him, and you're right in his wheelhouse. Boy, he hits that ball. That's a long way to hit a ball.
For that home run and each one hit by a Phillies player this season, 1 tree will be planted by the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society as part of Home Runs for Trees. Here's the 1-1. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. A partnership between the Phillies, PHS, and IRMAR. Home Runs for Trees is part of Plant 1 Million, a project to restore the region's tree coverage. For more information, visit phillies.com/redgoesgreen.
These are the situations when I talk about Darren being close to the plate. I just don't want any holes from that left-hander. I'm going to go up and take the whole pitch. Whole plate, rather, as the infield now is brought in once
with 2 strikes.
Darren has exactly 2 strikes on him.
Right before that, before 2 strikes, they were back in the middle. And the 1-2, and he got him. Got him to chase down, and a big strikeout off a breaking ball there. 2 outs.
And when you're up on the plate, you take away the guesswork, because now you're putting that pressure there on the pitcher. He's throwing 92, so he's not going to be able to throw the ball by you. Take a look at it as he gets the change up again, or breaking ball. You're closer to the plate, you're going to see it, and that's just more of a nervous type of a swing for me than anything else.
And they're going to walk John Mayberry now to load the bases and pitch to John McDonald in the 8-hole. Kirk Gibson deciding he'll go after the lighter hitter in McDonald, not take a chance with Mayberry, and load him up with 2 outs in a tie game.
Got to be able to get the runs there that are given to you during the course of the game, and I consider that when you have a runner on third base, less than 2 outs for especially lefty against righty.
And as we mentioned, with the infield back in the middle,
Yeah.
they were conceding a run out there.
Well, hitters got to remember, pressure is always on the pitcher.
Well, Citizens Bank Park is a fantastic place to hold events year-round. Many unique options for corporate social events of any size, including the Diamond Club, Hall of Fame Club, and executive dining room, free parking, on-site catering, fanatic visits, ballpark tours are just a few of the extras available. Phillies.com/special events or 215-218-5100. That's 215-218-5100 for information. Bases loaded, 2 out for McDonald. Tie game 3-3. And takes a strike. John tonight has flat out and walk. There are your base runners. Brown at third, Ruiz at second, and Mayberry at first.
He's got to stay through one. Maybe dunk one right out there in right center. That'll get a couple runs in.
Switch doing a really good job of blocking all these balls in the dirt tonight with all the wild pitches that they've had. Mentioned that they lead the league in wild pitches with 69, 14 more than anybody else. That Miley so far, toughest inning he's had, 29 pitches in this inning, and they made him work.
Yeah, well, it's the inning that he has the base runners.
Down low, 2-1. Eighth batter to come to the plate here in this inning. 3 runs in, and the base is still loaded. Phillies trying to take the lead on Kirk Gibson's club.
What a competitor.
Former defensive back at Michigan State. His college career. Could really run at one time,
yeah,
too.
He's one of those kind of mean baseball players. Intimidator.
Just by looking at you.
Oh, no, and he's a guy, too. You're talking about breaking up a double play.
And that's a strike call. 2-2. He won a couple World Series, one with the Tigers, and who could ever forget that home run that he hit off Oakland?
Dennis Eckersley, didn't he hit that home? Didn't he hit a home run off of Dennis Eckersley and limped around the bases?
Did Oakland win that World Series of the Dodgers? I'm trying to remember now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled back.
I want to think Oakland won it.
Dodgers won. That's what I was just told. Stick with what you're thinking the first time. Sometimes it's even right.
Yeah, I just.
But that home run is so memorable. John McDonald battling up there. Totals even at 3-5-0. And check swing foul out of play.
Man, it wants to hit. Just let it go.
And he knows that was ball 3. There's J.J. Poots still up in the bullpen, former closer. Now they have him up in the 6th inning. Heath Bell doing the closing for them now. And time is called.
Just looking for a line drive. Stay on top of it. Stay right through it.
Oh. Right down the middle. Strike 3 called, and he is out looking. But the Phillies tie the game in the 6th inning. They do it with 3 hits, and they leave them loaded. We're tied up to 6.
Well, here's your local Hyundai dealer's game summary so far here today. You see Martin Prado there with that 2-run double. He's been keeping them in the game there. Diamondbacks there playing very well. 3 runs there in the 4th inning. The fighting Fields coming back. Home run by Darren Ruff in the 2nd inning. That was a bomb there. Carlos Ruiz coming up with driving in 2 runs and tying up the ball game. 3-3 tie as we go into the top of the 7th.
And the bottom of the order now, Cliff Pennington, Tuffy go switch, and then they may hit for Wade Miley.
Had a little bit of a rough time, but any time a pitcher starts to struggle, he ends up, it seems, to just start to nibble a little bit too much, and that would tell you that he's a little bit afraid of the batters, even though that pitch to McDonald was just right down the middle.
Off the glove of Young to McDonald, he bobbles it, and that'll be a leadoff hit probably for Cliff Pennington. We'll see how they score it.
I got to tell you, if McDonald makes that play, I'm sure even after the ricochet, he could probably get there.
Well, these lucky fans are today's Citizens 7. They will each receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank, with the most 7-day branches in the Philadelphia area. To find a branch near you, visit citizensbank.com. Citizens Bank. Possibly a bunt situation now because they're going to hit Jason Kubel in the on-deck circle, a left-handed batter. Their bench is 4 left-handed hitters and right-handed Juan Nieves, their catcher.
Well, throwing over the first, he did not show bunts. Carlos Ruiz goes out to the mound. Yeah, I thought McDonald still might have had a play only because he gets rid of the ball so quickly.
And Pennington not a fast runner. One ball, no strikes to go switch. Takes a look down at Matt Williams to see if they're going to do anything here. Swings away. Play at second. 1. Back to first. Double play. What a good job by the Phillies there to turn the 6-4-3 double play on go switch. Doesn't run all that well. 2 outs.
Yeah, that's that quickness I was talking about there with McDonald and Utley equal as quick. That ball there hit not very hard at all. Look how quick he gets rid of the ball. And again, Utley on that side. Nice pick over there by Kevin Franson at first base.
And they'll bring Jason Kubel up to bat now with 2 outs and nobody on base. Kubel at .223 overall this year as a pinch hitter. 6 for 24. He's knocked in 5.
As long as he's pinch hitting, I got to go on like you were talking about in the beginning, to go on and bunt the ball. Get a runner there in scoring position as long as you're pinch hitting.
Right. I kind of thought they would do. But it works out for the Phillies with a double play ball. 2 outs and nobody on base.
Got to give credit to Cole Hamels being able to get the ground ball. He's pitched well again tonight there for me. Yeah, keeping the ball club in the game.
Miley leaves, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs earned, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 2 strikeouts, 110 pitches, 13 ground ball outs. Kubel high in the air to center field. Mayberry a play, and that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. 7th inning stretch coming here at Citizens Bank Park. Good ball game tonight. We're tied at 3. outside the park home run against the Diamondbacks on May 10th, 2002.
Oh, boy. Let's say, how about Jimmy Rollins?
No.
How about Chase Utley?
No.
All right.
Further back. Here we go.
No.
It's Dougie.
Oh, gosh. How about Doug Glanville?
Whoops.
Oh, man, as he's flying. I just couldn't think of the player back in the day that was on that team, 2002, as Glanville gets down on a slide there. He had good speed, by the way.
That's our Dodge Stump the Fans trivia answer tonight. And thanks for everybody that joined in. Remember to log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. That was off Rick Helling.
How was I supposed to guess that? I mean, really.
I don't know, but that's what we do every night is try to guess it.
There's no way I would have thought of Glanville.
Jimmy Rollins will pinch hit here. Good outing by Cole Hamels, still with a chance to win the ball game. Jimmy with a big hit last night. J.J. Poots, a new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, a big right-hander. Has a good split-finger fastball. Had some arm trouble over the last couple of years. That's what he's done so far in 34 games for Arizona.
Yeah, well, look at those strikeouts, 32. More strikeouts than his inning pitch. That's how you can tell if he's dealing or not.
Jimmy Rollins grounds one to Aaron Hill, throws him out, one away. Well, this is the part of the telecast I know I love. It's time for the Major League Notebook, and here's Murph.
Well, thank you very much, Wheels. Brought to you by Gwinnett Mercy College, of course. And a couple of starting pitchers are headed to the disabled list. The Cardinals, Jake Westbrook, is 0-4 with an ERA close to 10 in his last 5 starts. So St. Louis has DL'd him. He is headed there with a bad back. And the Giants have said Matt Cain to the DL as well. That's a result of a line drive to the forearm on Thursday night. So he is headed to the 15-day disabled list as well. The news a little bit better for Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees. He has a rehab assignment tomorrow. And Joe Girardi said, assuming that all goes well, the Yankee captain will rejoin the New York Yankees in Toronto starting on Monday for their series with the Blue Jays. He's played, guys, only 5 games all season long as Derek Jeter, hoping to get back and finish out this season strong, guys.
Michael Young flies out to center field. Looks like Waldo found you.
He's always around, it seems like, on retro night. He's got pretty good seats, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. There he is. You know, he's not really that hard to find now. I found out.
Not in that outfit. With 2 outs and nobody on base, and Kevin Franson, who got that inning start in the 6th inning with a 1-out hit. Cole tonight, 7 innings, 6 hits. 3 runs, all of them earned. He walked 1, struck out 4, only 91 pitches, had 10 fly ball outs. Poots has only thrown 5 pitches to this point with 2 outs and nobody on base.
Still getting it up there pretty good. 92. Decent major league fastball.
The Nationals are out in Kansas City tonight, and the Royals are putting it to them right now, 6-1. Eric Hosmer with a home run and 3 runs batted in. Did he go? Yes, says Clint Fagan. 1-2.
They're still a little bit uncomfortable. The breaking ball, he was coming off of it. Whether or not he swung or not, wasn't in a hitting position. A lot of times, if you could take a pitch, you take it the way that you should, like you're going to hit the ball. You know, sometimes, even if it's a borderline strike, just because of your position, the way you are, umpire is going to give you the benefit of the doubt. The better the hitter you are, the more pitches you get.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Poots put his bare hand out there. That hit his hand over to Pennington. Tag play at first on the slide. He's out. And Poots takes a look at his hand as he walks towards the dugout. That ball was hit hard.
Yeah, he's shaking it all right.
Kevin Franson thought maybe he had beaten that play with that head first slide. He doesn't. So no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. Phillies will go to the bullpen. We're tied at 3. Great times are waiting. Designate a driver. Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEFF-NOW for an appointment. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevroletDealer.com. 2 changes for the Phillies as we go to the 8th inning in a tie game 3-3. Jimmy Rollins will stay in the game in that 9-hole, play shortstop. The new pitcher batting 8th. Had done a good job for the Phillies since he's come up. Sarge, right-hander B.J. Rosenberg.
Yeah, big, hard thrower there. And again, what you like about him, even though you're seeing high averages, it's the arms. And the guys are getting opportunity, Wills, to be able to come up here and throw. And this is going to be very, very valuable for these guys as going into next year. Because you got to know what these guys can do. And not only that, they're not going to be in awe of pitching there in the major leagues. Therefore, they should be able to settle down.
PJ had a scoreless inning last night, gave up a hit, 2 strikeouts. No pitching in back-to-back games. Top of the order, A.J. Pollock will lead it off.
You know, a lot of these guys, they have the arm, but a lot has to do with location, being able to throw strikes. Got to know when to bring you in a ball game. If you can't throw strikes, can't bring you in with runners on.
Well, some of these guys have pretty good arms, and they're just trying to find out about it.
Yeah, 94, that's plenty arm. Now what you have to do is come up where you can throw a pitch whenever you need to be able to throw a strike. Whether or not it's your fastball, whether or not it's a slider that you throw, change up, got to be able to do that.
He gets him to chase there.
Yeah, chase on a slider. A little slide piece. Looks like a fastball coming up there last minute. It will dart away from you.
Adam Eaton will bat next, a left-handed batter, and then Paul Goldschmidt. Strike call.
He did it backward thinking, looking for slider again, and ended up getting a fastball. Those young hitters will do.
Pollock tonight off Cole Hamels 0 for 3.
Got him set up for another slider if he wants. Called an inside fastball.
And you saw Ruiz give him the shake right there. Wanted to shake back, try and confuse the hitter a little bit.
Yeah, he wanted to throw that breaking ball, and Carlos Ruiz insisted on him throwing the fastball.
Well, every time the Phillies retire the opposing team, 1, 2, 3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Here's a 2-2. Struck him out. One out here in the 8th inning. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports, giving you all your favorite sports all year long.
Oh, boy, this was just filthy. There's a slide piece that I'm talking about as he strikes him out 2-2.
Hey, Mark, before the game, Ryan Sandberg was talking about some of these young pitchers, and he talked about the breaking ball from B.J. Rosenberg.
He did indeed. He was really very complimentary of what he's seen out of B.J. Rosenberg since he's been back. But, Wheels, he talked about these young relievers and their big arms in general, and he was asked a very interesting question. Because these guys have such big arms and, they're able to pitch in the minor leagues and get away with a lot more, is that the reason why it takes them a little bit longer here in the big leagues to find that control? Because we've seen that over the last 2 years. These guys have shown that when they get in trouble, they lose their command of the baseball. And he said that's it, because these guys, they're so good, they're so talented, and in the minor leagues you can get away with a lot more. And Sarge, you certainly can speak to that. And when they get here, you can't make the same mistakes that you make in the minor leagues, and that's why getting experience at this level is so important for this young bullpen.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there as far as in making sure the guys get experience. Nice play there by Dominic Brown. But you're right, in the minor leagues it is easier because guys will swing at that ball there in the dirt. I know because I swung at a lot of them, and especially that slider. But up here, when you have all the fans, and especially when you come here to Philadelphia with just the reputation as a player, it can be intimidating there. See Sam Wells saying, hey, no doubles, meaning he wants that outfield to actually back up. But if you can pitch up here, you pitch in AA, AAA, you have a good arm, you'll be able to do it. It's up to you. Got to be able to be strong mentally after all they do. Like Rhino said, have the arms.
Well, he's fallen behind all three hitters in this inning, but he's gotten the first two out. They're guarding the line at third right now with Young. There's a guy who liked to hit ahead in the count, say the least. And there's a hard ground ball to short. Jimmy Rollins just in the game. Throws him out. A good inning for B.J. Rosenberg. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody out. It's retro 90s night from Total, and that's the Backstreet Boys, Sarge.
Yep.
We think. Hat free to fans 15 and over. Then Saturday also at 7:05 the Goya Latino Family Celebration and Food Drive, and the series ends Sunday afternoon at 1:35. New Jersey Education Association Ben Revere Growth Chart free to fans 14 and under. Order your tickets now at Phillies.com, and there are those Cabrini College knit hats. They fit in your collection?
You know what? Depending on whether or not it's snowing or not. known to wear all type of hats.
Especially in Chicago. Here's Joe Thatcher. Guy came over from San Diego in the Ian Kennedy deal. And he's been pitching quite a bit.
That'll be tough on left-handers. Drops down the way that he does.
Jay Sutton did not think that was a strike, and he has a little friendly conversation with Tim McClellan.
He almost fell off the mound there, Thatcher did, throwing that pitch.
Utley Brown Ruiz in a tie game. And fouled out of play, gets ahead of him 0-2.
Now that left-handed batter, you really got to stay in there. He kind of steps over to first base. You bail on him at all. Very difficult to even touch the outside part of the plate.
Hard not to bail on him from the left side, I would think.
Hard to pick up the ball. You see he's slinging it. Even though that pitch there was only 86, has a tendency to jump on you right away.
86 to 89 with his fastball, cutter, and slider. 3 pitches from him. Utley to left field. It was off the end of the bat. It's going to die on the warning track, and there's one away.
Boy, just missed it.
Yeah, it just didn't sound good when he hit it. Well, it is time now for our Coors Light Freeze Camp. It's Retro 90s night, brought to you by Total. It's been fun out here tonight.
Yeah.
Wait for you to identify everybody. Coors Light Freeze Camp, brought to you by Frost Brew Coors Light. Phillies would like to have another late inning win here. They're tied at 3. Jonathan Papelbon is up in the bullpen for the Phils. Dominic Brown, a base hit to right field, just over the glove of Aaron Hill. So Dominic with another BB off a left-hander.
Boy, you talking a ball that's crushed, waiting at the last minute. And I mean, you could just hang some washout to dry with that line drive that he hit. You got to be careful when you jump up. You don't get hit right in the head with that ball as hard as it was hit.
They have Heath Bell up in the bullpen. Looks like Kirk Gibson's going to come get him. There it is.
There it is again there. I mean, just, oh boy, vicious line drive.
Well, here comes a veteran right-hander into the game as Thatcher faces 2 batters, retires one of them, and gives up a hit. Big Heath Bell on his way to the mound. It's our AT&T call to the bullpen. Tie game. Back right after this. 7. There are the numbers on him. Record of 4-1. They've been closing lately with Brad Ziegler, as Bell had done some of that earlier. He's a guy that struggled with that role in the last couple of years with the Marlins and at times with the Diamondbacks. So they have 3 guys who've closed a lot. Poots, they have Bell, and now they're going to close with Ziegler. Well, coming up tonight on Sports Night, highlights and reactions from the Phils game, plus Derek Gunn reports on how Chip Kelly is making sure his system is being implemented on and off the field. And Ray Didinger gives his take on Michael Vick leading the offense. Chevy Malibu Sports Night tonight after postgame live and only on Comcast Sportsnet. Carlos Ruiz with a big 2-run double to tie the game in the 6th inning. Bats with Dominic Brown at first base and 1 out. There goes Brown. Off he goes, and the throw to second. He is a dead duck at second. I don't know. Were they playing hit and run? Somebody missed something?
Wasn't hit and run. I think it was straight steal. Didn't see him look back. That's your indication.
Boy, he's out by so much. No jump.
Well, he went straight up, and again, you can see he didn't look over at all. Tell you, if you're on your own, it's okay. You want to be able to work the count, and then you go and guess on a breaking ball.
And there's a base hit to right field by Carlos Ruiz.
Never
so
fouls.
That hurts. And he's on with 2 outs. Yeah, you don't know if he's on his own. You would think that's what happened there, and he just went. I don't think they sent him there, but we'll find out later.
Well, another way to find out whether or not guys know exactly when to run and when not to run. Just looking at him on the replay when he's stealing, you got to stay down. He went straight up. Good pitch.
Darren Ruff, the batter, takes a curveball for a strike. He hit the home run back in the 2nd. He's grounded out, struck out. All of his at-bats coming off the starter, Wade Miley, who went the first 6. Good block by Ghost Switch on that breaking ball in the dirt. That Bell's a 2-pitch pitcher and always has been. Fastball, curveball.
Yeah, well, that's the pitch you would really want to go on, is that breaking ball. Pitch that he threw basically was almost as if it was a pitch out. And you're right, though. He was thrown out by plenty.
Yeah, my first thought was he got no jump at all down there, so it was a hit and run. But as you said, he had his head down the whole time.
And he stood straight up, though, when he ran.
Straight steal. Ruff, a line drive, base hit center field. Ruiz will stop at second. So they come in and get some hits off Heath Bell, but because of the caught stealing at second, there's 2 outs and 2 men on base for John Mayberry Jr. Nobody up in the bullpen right now for the D-backs.
Well, John needs to come up with a clutch base hit.
Pitcher spot is due next, as the pitcher's now batting in the 8 hole for the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins batting 9th. Papelbon ready.
He should get tested too on the breaking ball.
Turn around, look at the outfielders as you talked about earlier, see where they are.
Yeah, well, you have to do that.
There's 2 outs going on the crack of the bat.
Just got that one right by him, and I take that back though with 2 outs. Crack of the bat, you're off and running. You don't have to take a look.
Right, you don't even have to know where they are. And there they are, just slightly to pull for Mayberry. Just overpowering him with 2 fastballs.
Just coming right at him, 94.
Dig in there, buddy.
Carlos Ruiz trying to give him a little encouragement.
Foul down the first base line. Long run for Eaton. No play. Good catch by a fan out there.
Well, that's 3 fastballs in a row. Threw 2 of them right by him. Newberry Jr. able to foul that one off.
Heading the count 0-2. There's that big breaking ball from Heath Bell. Missed with it.
Well, he throws the ball. It's a hard breaking pitch too that he throws. And for the ball to be a strike, he almost needs to start it at Mayberry or have it start on the inside part of the plate. It starts on the outside part of the plate. If it's low, that's why it's so important to pick up the spin of the ball. If it's low, it's going to continue to be low.
Ruiz at second, Ruff at first. Tie game in the 8th inning. Fouled back a fastball. Well, he's trying to take the lead, bring Papelbon in a save situation. If not, he'll come into the game in a tie game in the 9th inning. Got him. Well, he was just throwing fastballs by him in that at bat. Phillies in the inning had 3 hits, but they don't score. We go to the 9th inning, tied at 3. Here at 7:05, and Monday, September the 16th at 7:05 when the Miami Marlins come to town. So order now at Phillies.com and come on out, and that is delicious. Phillies Franks, Hatfield Phillies Franks, $1 dogs. They're good too.
Delicious?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Jonathan Papelbon coming into game number 48. 21 saves, 27 opportunities. He was perfect early in the year, then went into a real funk. Has been better lately, and they're asking for a scoreless inning out of him to give the Phillies a chance to come in and win it in their final at bat, Sarge.
Yeah, he's the type of pitcher, likes that adrenaline flowing. And take a look at Papelbon there. Oh, boy. Mike Adams. But he's the type of guy, though. I mean, obviously, pitches with a lot of emotion. More emotion there is in the ballpark, the better usually he'll pitch. Type of guy says usually what's on his mind.
Yeah, he did that this year, and he paid a little bit of a price for it, but he can go out there and back it up and get people out.
Yeah, well, he wants to be able to do that, but you got to show it on the field too.
And he'll start with Martin Prado, then Aaron Hill, and Matt Davidson, all right-handed batters. Phillies will guard the line at third with Michael Young. And two big doubles in this game. Prado has one, a 2-run double for the D-backs, and of course Carlos Ruiz for the Phils. There is Michael Young on the line. They'll give up the base hit in the hole.
Papelbon's been getting that split over the plate late in the ball game, getting hitters to chase that pitch. It's a good strikeout pitch for him.
Good game here tonight. 3-6-0 for the D-backs, 3-8-0 for the Phils. Back and forth. Just missed away, 2-1. Papelbon has done with Prado in his career.
And you know that as a hitter. I would think, though, that you would know that even as a pitcher.
Fly ball shallow right field. Darren Ruff in a few steps, waits, one out. And Aaron Hill will bat. He has doubled, grounded out, and walked and was caught stealing in the 6th inning. Another guy with pull power, and you would want to stay away from him, you would think.
Well, that's kind of the rule of thumb, that you would want the hitter to beat you away.
It sure is, and yet Papelbon will pitch inside to hitters. He's shown that.
Yeah. Well, and then, that's just having confidence in your stuff to make sure you get it in.
And there's that splitter Sarge was talking about, and he missed with it. 1 ball, no strikes. Pops it foul right behind, right in front of us. Nice play by a kid down below with a glove. Good grab right there. Reached up, picked it out in the front row.
That's why you bring your glove, and you're right, he did pick that. One hands it, so he takes the ball away from another fan.
Got the glove, you're going to win the battle, aren't you?
Well, that's right.
Popped him up. Playable in the infield. Chase Utley waits, and there's 2 outs.
The one thing that Papelbon does, he recognizes when hitters are swinging at certain pitches. Aaron Hill swinging at a high fastball. What he does, throws another high. Pops that one up.
Phillies in the bottom of the 9th inning will start in the 8 hole where the pitcher Papelbon is hitting, so they'll hit for him. Then they go to Jimmy Rollins, top of the order, Michael Young, if they get one more out here. And breaking ball is over for a strike. Good pitch by Pap. Matt Davidson, the hitter, he tonight has flied out, singled and knocked in a run and struck out. All his at bats came off Cole Hamels, who gave the Phillies a real good 7 innings tonight. Fly ball that was lost in the twilight really contributed to the 3 runs he gave up. They both wanted that and missed 1-1.
Well, Cole's been able to compete that second half with demeanor on the mound. Looks a lot better.
That's Brad Ziegler, who is now closing for them, the side armor, under armor. And misses high, 2-1. On deck batter is another right-handed hitter, Cliff Pennington. They do have 3 left-handed hitters available off their bench.
Yep.
3 balls and 1 strike as he's fallen behind this hitter. Out of town from St. Louis, the Cardinals leading the Braves 1-0. John Jay has knocked in a run. Cardinals won the first game of that series last night. 3-1, jammed on a breaking ball, and he floats it into center field. And the D-backs have a 2-out base runner. Well, coming up after the game immediately, stay tuned for Ben Davis's analysis on Cole Hamels' performance against the Diamondbacks. Only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Postgame Live. That's Campana, I think, just came out to run. Tony Campana, who can fly. We saw him when he used to be with the Cubs. So that is definitely a guy who can and will run as Pennington gets some, or Davidson gets some congratulations there.
Well, again, too, when you're sitting in a base runner and you have them on your own, those are the kind of guys, they don't like getting the sign there from the coach. They'd rather go once they end up getting a jump. You get that sign from the coach, you must go. A lot of times, if you don't get a good jump, you'll continue to go on and run.
Papelbon picked a base runner off the other night in a key spot in the 9th inning. And quick move over to first. Campana is back. He can really run.
Yep.
Tough Pennington, the shortstop, the hitter. He is 1 for 3 tonight with an infield hit. A hard ground ball off the glove of the third baseman, Michael Young. Does not go, and it's over for a strike. Looked like Pennington took one for him. That's Josh Colmenter closest to you, and then Ziegler in the back. Colmenter would come in if it's not a save. They throw over again, and they're just trying to freeze him over there. Time is called. There he goes. Got a great jump. Carlos's throw, not in time. Campana does what he's supposed to do there. He steals the bag.
Yeah, almost making up, though, some ground with that ball in the air. He's running so fast. Carlos getting off a pretty good throw, although it was down. Look at the jump. See the difference. He stays down as that ball comes in. Ball on the ground. Maybe if it actually is thrown all the way, might have had a better chance. And there you get there. The ball and the runner getting there just about same time.
And the ball rolls away anyway. So they count 1-1 now on Pennington. In the dirt. Good block by Carlos on a splitter. And Pennington ahead now 2-1.
Okay, well, you're pitching this too is if you have a base open, especially when you are down in the count.
Line drive center field. Mayberry looks like he has it lined up. He does. And Papelbon is out of the inning. Phillies have had some heroics around here the last couple nights. Can they do it again? There's Carlos Ruiz scoring one of the nights. And Michael Young in the other game. We'll see what happens. We go to the bottom of the ninth, and we're tied at 3. and play left field. There's Jonathan Papelbon, got the job done. Well, the Phillies would like to make him the winning pitcher in this ball game. They'll go with Cody Ashe leading off here, batting for Jonathan out of the 8-hole. And Heath Bell's still in the ball game. Jimmy Rollins will follow in the top of the order to Michael Young. Prado, the new third baseman, comes up and looks for a bunt.
That's what makes him so valuable. He can play multiple positions, play the outfield position. Well, they like him in that lineup for hitting. Then he can come in and play the hot spot, infield.
Ashe takes a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike. Third pinch hitting appearance for Cody. He's 0 for 2 thus far. And a hard ground ball, base hit in the hole to right field. He's 1 for 3 now as a pinch hitter. And the Phillies have the winning run at first base with nobody out for Jimmy Rollins, who you got to think is going to be up here to bunt.
Yeah, bunting situation.
There's Ryan going through the signs there, giving them to Juan Samuel.
Yeah, you want to get him over there in scoring position. And that's just the way to play the game. We've seen this too, though, in situations where Jimmy Rollins has been swinging.
Sure.
But I like the idea of being able to bunt Cody to second base.
Right. And then deciding whether or not, well, no, they're going to let him swing. And probably the reason is they think he can do just what you said, maybe do some damage here, get him over, as opposed to the guy leading off, Michael Young, to drive in the winning run.
Well, all of that plays into it.
Right.
There's so many things can happen with had runners at second, get a ball thrown away.
Still cheating up at third base is Prado, though. He's not convinced that Rollins isn't going to bunt on this pitch. See how close he is.
You know, and a lot, too, you go on how the guy is actually swinging the bat.
Reports on Eaton in right field are his above average arm. He's cheating in a little bit in right field. Jimmy not bunting. And Prado, well, we'll see if he'll back up 1-1.
I'll tell you, though, Heath Bell throws the ball pretty hard.
He used to be an outstanding closer, and well, he went to the Marlins last year. They thought they really had something, and he was terrible. And over in Arizona this year, not so hot, not the closer anymore.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike. And a line drive base hit. Ashe was running on the play. He's on his way to third, and he'll coast in. Oh, they had him in motion there, and Rollins gets it by the second baseman, and they have runners at first and third, Sarge, and they are set up here.
Yeah, well, again, Sandberg playing to the strength of Jimmy Rollins, and that is to be able to swing the bat. What he does, however, puts Cody Ashe in motion as he hits a line drive.
How about that? The last time the Phillies had 3 straight walk-off wins, that was in July of 2010. That was right before the All-Star break.
Wow.
Against the Cincinnati Reds. They're going to walk Michael Young and then bring everybody in and go from there. So they're just going to load him up at this point.
Well, with Franson coming up, got to just remember, he's been a little bit jumpy at the plate, but he has to remember you get back to basics.
Yeah, they don't mind having him up. There's Kirk Gibson, but he's going to take his chances with Franson and the bases loaded.
Yeah, and Franson's doing well when he's hitting that ball to right center. Now we've seen him attack balls there. Right now he's coming off of it. Does have a hit in the ball game here, though, tonight. Again, different situation, and as a hitter, boy, you'd love to work yourself into that 2-0 count so it becomes predictable. Bell throwing a lot of high fastballs, too.
Well, the Phillies with a chance to win their 4th game in their final at bat this week. It started on Sunday, and now it would be 3 in a row if they can pull this off. Bases are loaded. You see Goswitch goes out there to talk to Heath Bell. They have Uri De La Rosa, a left-hander, up in their bullpen. He's up for Utley and Brown if they can get Franson out. Let's go back to April 6th. Bases were loaded. Phillies desperately looking for a win early in the season. And Kevin got that huge double to right center field to clear him and give the Phillies a win.
Well, that's the shrunken leads.
Here's June 22nd. How about this bomb? This was an upper tanker.
Wow.
Off Torres of the Mets. Oh, that was a long one.
You see the balance, however, though, on both those swings. That's the balance that he needs to have.
Well, everybody in. Everybody in now. The infield in, the outfield in. Great situation for a hitter. First pitch. Throws him a breaking ball and misses. 1 ball, no strikes on Kevin Franson. Trying to be a hero again for the Phils. Everybody on the front rail down there.
Quality at bats. Pressure on the pitcher to be able to throw a good strike.
Cody Ashe, the guy they're trying to get home from third base, and time is called by Tuffy Goswitch, the catcher.
Yeah, I've never seen Rhino actually squeeze in this situation.
Fouled away, yeah, and you usually don't squeeze with the bases loaded. That force play at the plate.
Well, the one guy that would do that is that Tony La Russa.
Yeah, well, he was unorthodox. See Gibson right there. There's some brain power in that bench. Don Baylor's down there. Alan Trammell. Matt Williams. Well, you got some experience on that coaching staff. 1 ball and 1 strike on Franson. Everybody looking on from the Phillies dugout.
Yeah, want that ball in the outfield, preferably deep somewhere. Just a no-brainer out of it.
Goswitch calls time again. The catcher. Got in on him there. He fouled it back. And left-hander getting ready now for Utley and Brown. So a big spot right now for Kevin Franson.
Well, it's a big difference between 2 balls and 1 strike and 1 and 2. When you're up there, too, and you see that fastball, you want to jump on it. That ball there may be a little bit high, but these are always, nerve-wracking situations, if you will.
Oh, good play by Goswitch on that breaking ball in the dirt. They almost wild pitched a winning run.
Yeah, that breaking ball's got to be almost right at him in order for that ball to be a strike. The ones he's throwing on the outside has clearly been a ball, and it is a ball because he's throwing the ball so hard. That's what he wants you to do on that, is to check swing for you to get your own self out. And he's been throwing that high fastball. Zone him down a little bit.
Got it. But that pitch was out of the zone. He chased it.
102, though.
It was a breaking ball.
Yeah.
Big out there, obviously. Now let's see. They're going to go the left-hander now. Looks like Gibson's going to make a double switch. Go right to the home plate umpire, Tim McClellan. Going to bring Gerardo Parra into the game. I finally got him into the game for a while. He is going to go to right field, and they're going to move somebody over to left field. Kevin Franson very disappointed, and they will go to the left-hander in the bullpen, Uri De La Rosa. Phil's still with a heck of a chance to win this game. Come on back and watch it.
Well, he can throw, that is for sure.
And they're going to move Adam Eaton over to left field, and the new pitcher is the left-hander, Uri De La Rosa. Left-handed hitters, only 0.83 against him right now, and that's why he's in the ball game. Good earned run average, 7 strikeouts and 7 in the third inning. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. And there is Eaton, who now moves over to left field. The pitcher in their order will now bat in the 6th hole, and Power will bat 9th. So another shot to win this baby.
Yeah.
Chase Utley the chance to be the hero, and he's done that a lot of times in this yard.
We've seen him also, that breaking ball. Look for him to be getting out of the way that quick.
Bases loaded. Phillies in a 3-3 game here with Arizona. The infield in, the outfield in. 1 out. Tries that breaking ball. Looked like he missed with it. 1-0. Brent Sandberg trying to see his team win another game in their last at bat. It would be 3 in a row.
Yeah, these are the really nerve-wracking type times. Got runners in scoring position. You can almost taste the victory.
Ashe has to stay loose at third for a ball in the dirt. Could win it that way. Another breaking ball, misses 2-0. Last walk-off hit. Oh, how could you ever forget this one off? Billy Wagner, getaway day.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, that was so exciting. And even Chase Utley was really excited about that.
He doesn't really show a lot of excitement most of the time.
Big win against the Mets that afternoon. 2-0. He's in the driver's seat as Chase.
See if he makes him throw a strike.
And he does.
All right, Chase, now you're ready, buddy. Now you're ready.
His fastball really tops out at 90. He's not a real hard thrower, but you think for the most part he's going to throw that breaking ball up there.
Yeah, well, he tried that though, coming in. He has made him throw a strike. What he's going to do now.
Oof. He throws him that frisbee and he chases it. That was way outside.
Yeah, way outside, and just kind of guessing with him. Looking fastball. He had that bat moving. Okay, now you got to stay back. Got to put it in play.
Come on, Chase.
Kirk Gibson trying to get his team to a bases loaded, no out situation in the 9th inning. There's now 1 out. Ooh. Wow, was that close?
Well, this is the way you want it. These are the situations you dream of as a kid. Bases loaded. You're always up at the plate. 3-2 on the batter.
Dominic Brown, the Phillies hope. No offense to Dominic, and he hits tomorrow night. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Chase. The pitch. Ball 4. He walked him. And the Phillies win another game in the bottom of the 9th inning in their last at bat in another way. They get a bases loaded walk from Chase Utley. They win their 3rd straight game in the 9th inning. They win their 4th game this week in their last at bat, and Tim McClellan is waiting for his crew to come in here as that pitch was really close. And Chase Utley, of course, is our Chevrolet player of the game, Sarge, off a bases loaded walk. It's not the most exciting way to win a game, but it sure was fun.
I got to tell you what, I really don't mind, again, making that call 3-2. The bases are loaded and able to take that slider right where it is. To take a look at this delivery of the game. W.B. Mason's delivery of the game. Whoa, you got to have eagle eyes.
It's inside.
To take that pitch.
Yeah, watching it there on the monitor for the first time. Great job by Chase Utley. That pitch is inside. It isn't high and it isn't low, but it was inside.
Well, I tell you what a way to get a game-winning knock. See Ashley as he's coming in there.
Cody got it all started with a big pinch hit. And what a big win for the Phillies tonight. That was our W.B. Mason delivery of the game. A bases-loaded walk to Chase Utley. Another win in their last at-bat. Murph, and you're down there with us.
In true walk-off fashion, Chase will take it any way you can get it. Just talk about battling in that last at-bat, because at that point, even a sac fly gets it done, you get the walk.
Yeah, right there, you're trying to put the ball in play, trying to get something up. I swung at a bad pitch, middle of the count. But you're right there, you're just trying to put a ball in play, and he threw a slider. I thought it was inside and took my base.
Most importantly is the way this team has battled 3 straight times, 2 coming from behind. Tonight you battle back in the 7th inning. What does that say about the way you guys are playing baseball right now?
I think it shows that we're not giving up. I know we haven't played well throughout the entire season, but we still have some games to play. We still want to prove something. I think our crowd was great tonight. They were into it. Cole pitched well. He gave up some early runs, but after that he was pretty good. So we stuck with it. We were able to score some runs, and there you go.
Right in the middle of it, Darren Ruff gets the big home run. Cody Ashley starts this inning off. Young players making a difference. That's what you need to see right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Darren, obviously, big home run. He's playing some good defense. Cody's getting his bats. Got a big hit there in the 9th.
See, I knew they wouldn't get you, Chase. I knew they wouldn't.
Oh, no, but it's a great win. It was a good one.
All right, congratulations, 3 straight. Go enjoy it with your teammates. Chase, thank you. I saw them coming, guys. I tried.
Good job, Murphy. You're getting really quick down there. Here it is, the bases-loaded walk. Great at bat by Chase Utley. He trots on down to first. Cody Ashley trots in with the winning run. 3 straight wins in the 9th inning. It's really fun around here right now. Chase Utley mobbed by his teammates. Another great win for the Phils.